this is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations, and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel, my blog, however it is you came to find me. I'm just glad that you're here. Today we're going to be working with the Pop On By stamp set, which also has coordinating framelits that will go with it. And so we're going to be making this adorable pop-up card. The die is designed to, this is the stamps, and then the die does this to the inside. It actually makes it pop up. And so it didn't come with instructions, although it's not that hard to do. We are going to go over it today so that there's no confusion. And I'll show you how it's done. Hang on while I switch the camera and I'll be right back. Here we are down at my workstation here in my studio. And like I said, we're going to be working with the Pop On By stamp set with the Pop-Up House Thinlit dies that coordinate with them. If you are interested in this, I would suggest getting it while it's in this current catalog because they are bundled together currently. Each time that we have a stamp set with a coordinating either Thinlits or framelits, the first time it appears in the catalog, you can bundle the two of them together and save 10%. So that's a good way to save some extra money. We're of course going to need some cardstock. This house I did in Balmy Blue, but I'm going to do this one Crumb Cake. We're still going to do the outside of the card, our basic card base. As we know, that's 5.5 by 8.5, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. Then I'm also going to use a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 5 1/4 by 8 1/4, and then we're going to score it at 4 1/8. But don't do that yet because we're only going to score a little bit in from the side. For the roof and the door, we're going to use Early Espresso. So this is 5 by 5, which fits the die. The paint on the house will be Crumb Cake, again 5 by 5. We're going to make the door basic gray, so I've just got a scrap of that. It's basically 2 by 2. We're going to use soft seafoam for the curtains on the inside, so this is roughly 5 by 2. On the outside of the house, we are going to have a sidewalk, which is in smoky slate, and this is 5.5 by 1/2 inch. And then we're going to stamp the house onto Whisper White, which is 3 1/4 by 4. And then we'll color that in with the Stampin' Blends. So like I said, first thing we're going to do is we're going to score that white piece. And so I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Trimmer. I apologize for the glare. I've got some good light in here, but it kind of glares my stuff on my desk. So we're going to take this piece of Whisper White, and we're going to put it at 4 1/8, and we're going to score it in just a little bit from this side, and we're going to lift it up and come down here and score just a little bit from this side. We just kind of basically want to know where that 4 1/8 line is. If you were to score all the way across, when you put it into the die, I don't know if you can see, there's a score line right across the middle of the house, and we don't necessarily want that. Yeah, there you can see it right across the door. So we're only going to go in a little bit from each side. We're doing that because it shows us where to place the die on our Big Shot. So I'm going to bring in the Big Shot with the magnetic platform. And then we're going to take this piece we just scored, and the score lines are here and here. You probably can't see that really well. But what we're going to do is we're going to line it up with these little holes in the back of the die. These little here, these need to be right in line with where that score line is. That's why the magnetic platform comes in really handy, because it makes sure to hold it still so it doesn't jiggle around and move when we roll it through. I think that's about right. So we've just got the magnetic platform, a clear sheet, our cardstock, the die, and another clear plate. And we're going to crank it through. And then while you were at it, you probably want to take the die and again cut out your other 2 layers. through. And then of course you would do it again with the crumb cake, which I've already done. And then you would do it again with the basic gray. And because I only want the door, I don't necessarily have to do the entire house. I can just do the door. Also, on the paint, if I wanted to just do the house, you know, I could cut a little shorter. I could save myself maybe 1.5 inches of cardstock from that side. So just basically, like I said, use up your scraps, be a little bit creative, and have fun with it. Okay, so once we have all of our pieces cut out, you'll want to bring those in. And you'll notice this cut the entire house. We're not going to use the entire house. We just want the part that's going to be the front of the house that's painted. So we can pop out the little windows if they didn't already come out when you die cut. I'm just going to give those a gentle touch and they'll just slide right out. And then I'm going to use my paper snips just to snip off some of these little fold lines so that we're left with just the piece of the house that we want to be this color. Oops. So that will be the house. The painted part of the house. We'll give it a early espresso roof. We'll make the front door trim match. And then we'll have a basic gray front door. So we'll just have to glue all that together, and then we're going to add some curtains. And so I'm going to bring in my curtains here. You see, I stamped in soft seafoam onto soft seafoam cardstock so that the folds of the curtains are fairly light. So we can still see them, but they're not real bold. And then you'll think that the die doesn't quite fit because it does leave some extra room at the top of the curtains, and that's on purpose because that's where we're gonna put our glue. See it there. That's where the glue is going to go to adhere it to the house from the back side. So we'll go ahead and run this through. And all I'm doing is the easiest way to line it up is to line up these points in the die with the points of the curtain. I figure once those are lined up, we're good. There we go. So now we're ready to assemble the inside of our card. And you can use your liquid glue, any kind of liquid glue, and I say liquid because I like the fact that it doesn't dry right away. I mean, it dries quickly, but unlike the snail, it gives you just a couple seconds to wiggle it around and make sure that you've got it exactly where you want it to be. It's a little more forgiving. The snail, once it adheres, it's stuck. So I'm just going to lay this right on top of our white layer and then wiggle it so that it's lined up exactly on top of where the other one is. And it's kind of important that they are like exact because it's going to fold and we want the house to come forward You'll notice there's some dashed lines. We're going to fold on those dashed lines. So there's these two here, and then there's these two here. And we're doing kind of the same thing. We're bringing the bottom one forward and pushing the top one back. So that's how it's going to start to go into our cards. We want to make sure that this part clears the roof. And the same with the bottom. We want to make sure that there's clearance. So that's why I would suggest a liquid glue, because it just, you want it to be exact. Clears, so we're good there. And then we're going to adhere the curtains, and they're going to go on the back side, and like I said, we're going to put the glue right up here on the top, and then that's what's going to stick to our house from the inside. Got some leftover ink from my last project. I apologize for that. Good thing it's on the back. And I'm just lining up on the bottom, the center piece with the center of the curtains. And there we go. There's our house. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp congratulations up at the top. So this sentiment comes in this same stamp set. Let's see, are we centered? There we go. And then there's little stepping stones. We're going to use this coming off the front door. And we're going to just make a little pathway. And I'm going to make it go a little bit to the side so that when I send this card, I can use the bottom to write in, and my stepping stones don't get in the way. And I'm going to carefully close this up, and then I'm going to put tear and tape on the sides. Ugh. Yikes. This is our new chamois. I'm trying to get some ink off my fingers. This is what's came out in the new catalog for cleaning our photopolymer stamps. Of course, you can still use our Stampin' Scrub. That works fabulous, but this was designed to go with the photopolymers. I use it on everything. I kind of waver back and forth between that and the Stampin' Scrub. They both work well. There's our tear and tape. And I use tear and tape when I want something to stick very well. I want to make sure that this does not come apart as they start messing with the mechanism, you know, as they open and close and open and close. We want to make sure it stays put. So tear and tape is perfect for that. I use this on all my boxes and 3D items, anything that needs a little bit of extra oomph. And so I'm just going to put it along all of the edges. Here. Okay, so when we put it into our card front, these of course are going to line up with this. So we're going to make sure it's centered. I'm going to go ahead and burnish our tear and tape. Makes these things come off a little bit easier. to make sure that that's right in there. And I'm going to close the card onto itself. I apologize. That's not really straight. You obviously want to take a little more care, but I'm trying to be quick for the video here. So there's our little pop-up house. Oh, almost forgot. I have the door trim. Let's go ahead and put that on. This is from the same piece that I cut the roof out of so that the roof and the door trim can match. And then I made the door out of that basic gray. So there it is. There's our little house. For the outside of the card, I had made a little sidewalk. So we'll go ahead and put that down. And we could do this with snail. This happened to be handy, so I'm going to use the tear and tape. Again, you could use liquid glue if you wanted some time to make sure you have it exactly on the edge. So there's our sidewalk. And then I had stamped the front of the house that's going to go on the outside of the card ahead of time. And I colored that in with my Stampin' Blends. And the Stampin' Blends are fabulous in that they're really easy to work with it. There's a light and a dark. There's like a shadow and a highlight. And the stamps will often give you little hints of where the shadows are supposed to be, like on the shingles. So I just took my dark soft suede and I kind of mimicked the little shadows that were already in the roof. And then I just kind of went, you know, if the sun's coming from one direction, you know, what would be shaded? So this would be shaded, this would be shaded. And I just added a little bit of that. And then I came back with the, oh, those are crumb cake. The house is crumb cake, the roof is soft suede. And then I just blended it in. You know, if you think that, you know, you can still tell too much difference between the light and the dark, don't feel bad about going back and just giving it some more ink. And the more ink you lay down, the more it blends. And you will notice it actually comes back through the other side. And it's supposed to do that. That's not a mistake. It's supposed to come all the way through. So we're going to have our house that's going to go here. Oh, let's color our curtains. Okay, I'm taking the dark and I'm just, like I said, mimicking what's already in the stamp. And I'm not being extra fussy with it because it's going to be colored right over the top with the light. And I want to do it fairly quickly because the wetter the ink is, the better it blends. So you wouldn't want, if you're doing large areas, I would suggest breaking it down into smaller sections so that the ink does stay wet. That gives you a better blending effect. So there's our curtains. And in order to make a little bit of light from the inside, I'm just using the light Daffodil Delight to make it look like the lights are on inside the house. So we're just giving it a little bit of extra character, making it look more realistic. And then I had made the door gray, so let's come in with that. We've got our Stampin' Blends in basic gray. Again, like I said, I'm just picking where I think the shadows might be. And then I'm right away going to go back in with the lighter color and go right over the top of it while it's still wet and get it to blend. And at first you'll think, oh no, it's too, the colors are too far apart, it's not going to really blend, but it is. You want to, like I said, lots and lots of layers. If you can see, I'm not just going over at once, I'm going back several times and laying a good amount of ink down on there. Okay, so there's our house, colored with our Stampin' Blends. Fabulous markers, love those. I'm going to put the lid back in my fine tip glue pen. The best way I find to get the little needle back into the middle is I lay my finger on there and then I use that as my guide to hold up the pin so that I can maneuver it and get it right into the middle of that thing so that I can close it. So just a little tip there for that. Oh, let's go back to our house. I wanted to put a tree coming from behind the house, so I'm just going to kind of estimate where I think it's going to go. And then I'm going to come in with some green ink. Let's do Old Olive because I have some Stampin' Blends that match that. So right about here. That's easier with the small end. So that was a soft suede for the branch, and then I'm doing the Old Olive for the leaves. Again, going rather quickly for the video. Hoping this isn't too long for you. It's a really fun card, and I hope that you get a chance to play with it. Okay, so we're back to our house. Snail. So see, isn't that cute? The little tree looks like it's coming out from behind. And then again, I'm going to use my little stepping stones. Come back to my basic gray. A few coming off the sidewalk. And then I'm going to use the Welcome Home. I'm assuming this is going to be a card for some new homeowners. So we've got congratulations and welcome home. These would be great for like realtors to hand out when somebody closes on a house, or say your family members just purchased their first home. There's just so many cute reasons for this set. I love it. This came out so cute. Oops. Like I said, I hope you give it a try. It is so much fun. And like I said, you can play around with the paint colors. I've seen the roof and the paint done in several different colors. I've seen it colored right onto the white cardstock. Just have fun and play around with it. And if you need any of your stamping supplies, you can always visit my blog at queenbeecreations.net. I always have tons of ideas over there, free tutorials. And those who order from me, I put them into my VIP group and they get even more free stuff. I give away extra goodies and they get extra tutorials, lots of things, because I like to spoil my customers. So if you like being spoiled, I suggest you place an order with me, and then I will spoil you too. Again, queenbeecreations.net. Oh, and if you do this before the end of the month, we have this great sale going on right now where if you buy 3 designer series paper, you get 1 for free. And that's only good during the month of July. So you want to make sure, if you're someone who loves designer series paper, you want to make sure that you stock up while that's on sale. And if you have a really, really, really long wish list, I invite you to join my team. Right now they're doing an extra special, again, just during the month of July. You can get $192.50 worth of Stampin' Up! Product for just $99. And then they're even going to ship it for free. Can you believe it? That's a savings of $112.70. And all you have to do is place an order. And you sign up on my team, you become Creative Royalty, and if you decide you want to make a business of it, fantastic. I'm here to help you with that. If you don't want to make a business of it, you just wanted to buy your supplies and go on with your life, that's great. You will have a 20% discount, at least a 20% discount through the end of January 2019 without ever having a party. How awesome is that? You also get a sneak peek at the holiday catalog a month before it comes out to the public, and you also get a sneak peek at the occasions catalog and our celebration offerings a month before the public gets to see it. And you get to order early. It's a no-lose situation. We call them hobby demos. About 90% of Stampin' Up! Demos out there are hobby demos, and they just buy in for the discount. And there are also those that win amazing prizes and take fabulous trips. I have several friends right now that are on a trip to Alaska that they won through Stampin' Up! So if you want to make a business of it and make some real money, that's there for you. And if you just want to be a hobby demo, that's there for you as well. So again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you like my card. Thanks.